you very much. I was counting off all the things you're asking me to do there, thinking, I'm not sure I could answer many of those questions. But anyway, I'm delighted to be here. I'm very grateful. I'm very honoured to be here and to be stood here, particularly at this particular moment, because it's a very important turning point in the history of this city. And I feel very honoured because I've made a lightning visit to this place 2 years ago. I made another lightning visit today. And in between times, we've done a fair few Skype conversations. This is not my home city. This is not my home at all. So I feel quite at liberty to tell you exactly what I think about it. I've got no political agenda. I've got nothing riding on this. You may never ask me back. But I did think that I would come today and stand here and try and somehow bring with me some experience or some valid contribution that referred to where I come from, the United Kingdom or Europe. I thought I might talk about the way in which across Britain right now, neighbourhoods and communities are empowering themselves, writing neighbourhood plans. They're doing this, by the way, because our national planning policy has sort of crumbled and because neighbourhoods instead are taking control themselves over what happens where they live, where they are, which is a good thing. And I'm going to get into trouble for that when I get home. But I thought I might talk a little bit about some of the great European examples of towns and cities that have pulled themselves up by their socks and where now things work so much better. Cities like Freiburg in Germany, which has resulted in a thing called the Freiburg Charter, a charter which enshrines social sustainability, so many healthy, civilized ways in which people live together, and the way in which the car has in a way made way for the pedestrian in that particular city. I thought I might even talk about Melbourne, UNESCO's #1 city in the world, the most livable city, for the way in which the central business district of Melbourne has been now reseeded by the population. People are moving back into the city, and it's now a really vibrant, exciting place to live. But actually, I thought to myself, well, that's all very well. But I have spent today in Christchurch seeing some of the projects that I first heard about, first hoped about 2 years ago. I came then, in 2011, at a time when the city was still in crisis, when the administration was still grappling with the business, the hard and difficult business of how to cope with the trauma and begin remediation and deal with simple infrastructure problems like sanitation and clean water. I experienced then some really harrowing tales about people who were dispossessed, who had difficulties claiming insurance money. And I'm very sad to say I'm still hearing those stories about people who are not getting on with their insurance. There are some insurance companies, I gather, who are doing very well and really helping out, and there are some insurance companies who are not. And as a consequence, many people's lives are still miserable. There are people in this room who tell me they're still living under cardboard, and that's not a good thing. I mean, there are people here who are living in circumstances where their children can't remember living in the family house that they had, and probably will never be able to, in their own childhood, experience living in that family house again. And that's not good. But this evening isn't about that. This evening is about something else. It's about this competition. When I came 2 years ago, there was a sense that, on the one hand, there was a tremendous community voice which had been enfranchised, which had been given this wonderful opportunity to say what it wanted. And at the same time, there were all kinds of community groups springing up, wanting to do stuff like reseed the building sites with wildflowers and romantically reclaim bits of the city in whatever way and do stuff with art. And there they all were, outside the central zone, because they couldn't get in, because nobody could. And it was like kind of, going to a militarized city almost. And then, on the other hand, there was the administration saying, yeah, we really like that stuff. We really want to see more of it. But of course, we've got to rebuild this place. We've got to keep the place safe. We can't. And there was a sense that was almost a combative, if not confrontational atmosphere that couldn't be resolved because of the great difficulties the city was facing. And what I found today, walking around, was something magical. It was the absolute integration of that, the resolution of that tension. And going to places like coming here, to this extraordinary building we're standing in, or seeing the way in which some of the buildings have been repaired, seeing, for example, the wonderful pavilion made out of pallets, just right next to the law courts, where now judges and criminals alike will take cups of coffee and watch films together, hand in hand. These things are really, really powerful, really powerful. And so all the ideas that I thought I'd bring, I've sort of rather thrown away. And I have to say, I think I'm going to be leaving Christchurch with many, many more powerful ideas than I thought possible. And that's a wonderful reflection on what has happened here in just 2 years. I'm going to say one more thing, and that is that in my work, I am a bit of telefluff. I present television programs, but I also have a development company building houses, and my contribution as a judge, if anything, was to try and bring a little bit of perspective from what we do in trying to build communities and make housing schemes and make places to the process here. And we've always done a lot of public consultation, and one of the things we've held dear is a principle that if you go into a community and you ask people what they want, you should go in actually with some design guidance. You should take some skilled architects with you, and designers and landscape architects, because the people who you're speaking to will only ever answer from their sphere of knowledge. People will only tell you what they want in reference to what they've had or what they know. Now, I have to say, I'm going to throw that rule away, because everything I've seen here today tells me that's rubbish. When the people of this city were asked what they wanted, they responded with such enthusiasm, such vision, such belief in this place and what it could give them, that it set in motion a process which has resulted in this competition, which I believe is going to make Christchurch, if this works, will make Christchurch one of the most exciting places on the planet. So you can forget Freiburg, you'll be writing the Christchurch Charter and exporting it everywhere else. Isn't that an amazing idea? Yeah. I was quoted, somebody quoted back at me today, that something I said 2 years ago, which is that if you aim there, if you aim high, you'll achieve absolute crap. You need to aim to the very top, and then you'll achieve something really good, And what's really fascinating, I believe, and we've got, for example, amongst the finalists here, 4 really great schemes. And it's very important that we don't just consider the winner of this evening as somehow being the only project which should see the light of day, because there are others here, there are other great ideas, and indeed, come on, the place is big enough to accommodate many, many different schemes, and we should be looking at lots of different design and architectural input into the city in order to get that variety. So let's hope that actually everything gets built, really, everything. The interesting thing right now is that you've set the bar so high, you've demanded quality, and what that suggests, if you can deliver this, and if you can indeed bring along the repair work and the retrofitting to the existing housing stock alongside, if you can do all these things together, then what you should be able to do is to somehow reposition your gaze and aim yet even higher. And that's an extraordinary privilege you put yourself, an amazingly privileged place that you put yourself in. So I can only wish you every ounce of luck and energy. I can only pray that everything you want to see in this place happens within the lifetime of everybody in this room and everybody in Christchurch, because it has to happen soon. You have to see change, and you have to have some signs of things that you believe in. You have to see your belief writ large. And that's what this scheme is partly about. So all I can do is offer those prayers and offer those hopes and promise that I will come back in 2 years' time and give you a hard time if you haven't done it. I'm now going to hand over to my fellow judge, Stuart, who's going to run you through some of the projects.